Big shout out to Helix Sleep. Take their 2-minute sleep quiz, and they're gonna what?
They'll match you to a mattress that will give you the best sleep
of your life, dude. So just find your perfect mattress at helixsleep.com/rants. Yo, what's up, you guys? Welcome to my podcast. My name is Pauly Shore, and it's called Random Rants. And this one I randomly rant, and we just fucking keep going. But it's a little bit different. Bill is not here because he had a church outing, and I don't have the DJ. I don't have anything. We're in the All Things Comedy Studio here in Burbank. We're promoting the Comedy Store documentary with all the different comedians. And I'm very excited about the guest. But before we introduce the guest, let me tell you people where you can hear and see and feel the podcast. We're on All Things Comedy, YouTube, Spotify. Where else, Aaron? Just everywhere, right? Everywhere you can find a podcast, you'll check it out. And I'm excited about the guest. He's a former comic. He's a writer, producer, director. He did such movies as... Is it the upside of anger or the downside of anger? It's both. It's the both angers. It's he did Mind of the Married Man on HBO. Some other ones. I want to just yell them out. Reign Over Me. With who was that with? Adam Sandler and Don Cheadle. He's an old friend of mine. I grew up with him. He grew up with me, ladies and gentlemen. The producer and director of the Comedy Store documentary that's out on Showtime right now, Mr. Mike Binder. Come around this way, sir. Mr. Mike. Oh, God.
God, this is the most sane show you've ever done.
I know.
This is too normal for you, Pauly.
Thank you, sir. What's up, buddy? What's up?
Good to see you.
This is crazy.
Thank you for having me.
What's it like seeing me so many years? I'm 52. You're 62. 62.
Yeah.
So it must be fucking weird because you grow. I mean, here we are. It's got to be weird.
It's weird. It's always weird seeing you.
It is.
but it's kind of baked in at this point.
Right. So.
I like the random rants anyway. But it's just so. I think it's funny just to see it in a studio. Because usually, you're just going, what room is he going to run out of?
Yeah.
Is his underwear going to be on his head?
Yeah.
Is this,
So I came in town, because I wanted to promote and push and get the word out on the documentary.
I know, you've done great. You've done great, man.
It's called The Comedy Store, right? Who came up with that name?
Mitzi came up with that name.
No, but who came up with the name for calling it The Comedy Store as a documentary?
I think that pretty much that was baked in too.
It was obvious. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys, Mike Binder is an old dear friend of mine who I've known since I was probably 10 years old. 10 years old or so.
I think 7.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think I met you when you were 7.
Okay, so I got I think there's
right?
shit. Yeah, I think there's like a hair coming out or something. Anyways, so I've known him since I was a little kid, growing up at the Comedy Store. He's a comic at the age of 19. He was like the youngest comic there. And he is the producer, director, creator of the new documentary that's out on Showtime right now. It's a 5-part series. If you guys haven't seen it, it's fucking amazing. Before we get into that, tell people where they can see it. I know it's on Amazon and Hulu.
It's on Showtime and Amazon and Hulu.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's where it's at.
Yeah.
You can download them.
Yeah. And I want to say something personal, and I want to speak on behalf of all the comedians. Not that I'm a comedian spokesperson, but I'm a comic. I want to speak up on behalf of my family. I want to speak up on behalf of my mom and my father, and because you, me, we work, we put stuff out, and we don't know how it's going to be. You know what I mean? So I want to say that, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you so much for putting your heart and your soul into this project, because I know how hard it was for you to not just do one documentary, but to do 5. And to tell the story and the cliffhangers and the way you shot it. And so thank you so much for giving me your heart and soul, because I know the financial aspect of it probably wasn't that exciting.
No, it wasn't.
But your heart and soul was into it, and you can feel it. You know, every single person I talk to says the same thing. There hasn't been one person that I talked to that maybe should have done that one part, and I don't think there's anyone else that could have really done what you did in this. So thank you on behalf of my family in the store.
Yeah, you're a good man.
What?
You're a good man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, thank you. That means a
because
lot.
it's sensitive. Tell me about how sensitive this was for you.
It was sensitive. It was hard. I didn't think it was going to be so sensitive and hard. And, you know, I didn't plan on doing it. I didn't put it. It was an incoming call. Most of my life has not been incoming calls. Everything, 99% of everything I've done has come from here, and I've called and said, "Hey, can you help me get this going?" Or, "How do I get this going?" I was swimming, you know, I was out in Malibu, you know, and I got a call from Mike Tolan. And
he's the producer.
He's the producer.
Yeah, what's the name of his company?
Mandalay Sports.
Mandalay Sports, and he's done a lot of documentaries.
Yeah, and he just did Last Dance, the Michael Jordan thing. He just won an Emmy for that.
Wow.
And
so
he's done a lot of things, and he said, you know, "Hey, Peter Shore wants to do this thing, and he wants you to do it." And I had never thought about doing a documentary. The only documentary I ever thought about doing in my life was this thing I want to do on Bob Seger.
Oh, wow.
Who's an old friend of mine.
Oh, wow.
You know? And
I got to send you my Bob Seger song.
Okay.
Because you said you saw my Pete Townsend song.
I would love to see it.
The Bob Seger song.
I'll send it to Bob.
Awesome. Really?
Yeah, of course.
Wow.
Yeah, he'll get
I think he took it off of YouTube already, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, he won't. He wouldn't.
It's a great.
But anyway, you know, and you know.
So you're in Malibu.
Well, and I have been gone from stand-up world for a lot of years, other than the fact that I had made this movie with Kevin Costner and Octavia Spencer called Black or White, and Bill Burr had a supporting role in it, and we became friendly. And then one night, I came to the Comedy Store with him, and I hadn't been there in 15 years.
Wow.
And
did Bill know your relationship with the Comedy Store?
Yeah.
Oh, he really knew that you started there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
he
cool.
knew. And we had a great time on location shooting the movie.
What was the movie?
It was called Black or White, and we had a really great time shooting the movie.
And this is something you directed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was the first. So I had come back, and you know, I just kind of.
So you went back to the store with Bill?
Yeah, and it had been years, and it was kind of emotional for me to be back there all those years later, and then I had a book out, a novel I wrote, and Marin had asked me to come on and said, but I want to talk about the Comedy Store. And I was, and he had asked me that once before, and I was like, I don't really like to talk about it that much. You know, it was just so long ago. It was in the rearview mirror. I wasn't a kind of a backwards looking guy, you know, and then when the book came out, when they were doing the book,
because you're doing the book into the movie. I remember that.
Yeah. But that was a novel that I wrote.
Yeah.
But when they were doing the book, I'm Dying Up Here, which I'm mentioned in a lot, you know, and so I was working at Showtime, and they thought, oh, he'd be a perfect guy to be involved with that, you know, but I didn't want to be involved with it. I didn't want to do like a fake Mitzi and a fake characters, and I just thought, and it was a good show, but it just wasn't for me to go. But for some reason, I'm driving down PCH, and Mike says this to me, and I went, yeah, I want to do that, like instantly. And normally, like I say, I don't really warm to other people's projects. You know, I just like to do my own stuff. I just like instantly, and you know. But then I didn't realize how much work it was going to be, and how just all-encompassing, and how much, you know, it was so hard on so many levels, you know, and it was wonderful, and I love it, but like, comics are tough. and I'm a comic. You can never not be a comic, you know. Even though all the years I did it, you know, I just got, you know, but.
So is it weird to see me here? You're finishing up the doc. You've just locked in episode 5, and then here's Mitzi's son, and like we're friends, and like it's like. Everything is like, it's weird, right?
It's not that weird, Pauly. I mean, I'm still here on planet Earth. It's not like I died and we're all here on.
We're not.
In another dimension together.
I thought we died. I thought this was we're doing this in heaven.
I mean,
my
exactly.
mom, come over here.
I know.
Leave him alone. Get off the couch.
You're asking.
And then my dad.
That would be weird,
right?
But as it is right now, this is.
Well, just the timing wise.
No, it's the thing was great. You know, I think I'm glad it's over.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's over, and I'm proud of it. It's just, I really learned a lot. And I'm glad. I hope people get to see it and like it and enjoy it and realize, you know, there's like certain things that I love about it. I love that they got to see you grounded and as an adult, but still funny, and you know, not as just a kid. You know, I'm glad they got to see that Michael Keaton was a comedian. A lot of people didn't see that. I'm glad that they got to see Letterman come back and Leno come back, and I'm glad, you know, that they got to see the respect they had for each other before all the bickering and all the bullshit.
How are they now with each other?
Good.
Did you get them in the room at the same time?
No, but they're very.
Why didn't you get them in the room?
Well, there was just different days.
Right,
it was just different
yeah.
days. I got Jim Carrey and Damon Wayans there together, and that
from
was
In Living Color.
Yeah,
that was a
and
big deal.
they've since gone out to lunch a couple times and hung out, which is great.
Damon texted me this morning.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
He said, "Why were you in the documentary?" I said, "Because my mom owned the club." He goes, "Okay, that's fine." No, I'm just kidding.
No,
he really loved it.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Good.
He really loved it.
Good.
So, as the director of this piece,
I don't speak to Damon.
These 3 pieces.
Damon and we don't speak.
How did you come up with the direction of this? Did it just hit you one day? Because you know, as a filmmaker, you've been directing for a while. There's several ways to tell a story, to paint a picture. You know, because the style that you chose with you being you interviewing people on camera and then cutting away and then doing some cartoon stuff, and like, how did you come up with that?
Cartoon stuff?
I don't know. There was some animation stuff, wasn't there?
No.
That was your doc, right?
No.
Oh shit! I thought was this the documentary from the Improv?
Oh jeez.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I thought there was some weird like. No?
No.
I was taking mushrooms. I'm sorry.
No.
So go on.
But what, did you see the same doc?
I thought there was some weird cutaway stuff that was like.
No.
In the first episodes?
No, there's no cartoons.
Animation?
You were switching over to like the Cartoon Network and shit.
Anyways, how did you come up with the particular direction?
Actually, you know, I didn't really have an idea. I really didn't. And then Mike Tolan and the Showtime, Vinny, they just kind of, it was their kind of idea, saying, look, you got to tell your story. You know, you being back all these years later, and you know, and it just kind of became that, you know, and so they were like, and it just kind of became, what's the point of view of this? And that was a good point of view.
Why? Yeah, the concept was, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Because you started there, and this makes sense for you to do it, because this is like going back to your old alma mater.
Yeah.
And that's how it felt.
That's right. And that was, you know, originally Mike Tolan said, the reason I want you to do this is because I found, having produced a lot of documentaries, if I'm doing a documentary about football, if we can find a football player who's a filmmaker, that's better. If we get someone from that world in it, you know, and
because me watching it, I definitely felt like no one else could have pulled these interviews so much out of these comedians, not just because of the questions you asked, but the trust that you had with, you know, the Lettermans and the Jims, and and all these people because, oh, it's Mike. Mike's calling. You want to go to lunch? He wants to do a documentary? It's just like you have that relationship.
There was two sides of it. One was that the first half of the history of the Comedy Store era is I knew it and I knew the people, so I could get them and talk to them and talk about an era that I was either there a little bit late for or part of or had just left on. And then the second part, I was almost like a reporter who I missed it, but I knew all about the world, but I was gone. It was like I was doing investigative journalism on a war-torn country that I had left.
Yeah.
But there were areas of it that I didn't know. I didn't know so much about, the Santino and the Segura and the Whitney Cummings, Rogan
era time.
And I found it fascinating. I found them all to be such great artists, and Theo Vaughn, and I kind of knew Maron, but after that I didn't know any of them, and I found them all to be so dedicated and such hard workers, and I was actually very jealous of their era, of what they have, and what Burr has with all things comedy, and the ability to be their own boss, and Joey Diaz. I mean, Rogan one night said to me, "Have you seen Joey Diaz?" And I went, "No." And he said, "Well, then you got to see Joey Diaz." And I sat down and watched Joey Diaz and just pissed my pants. Yeah. But I became like insanely infatuated with Joey Diaz.
Oh, wow. Who does he remind you of? He reminds you of some a little bit of old school.
Yeah, a little bit of Rodney, a little bit of Dice, a little bit, but then he's insanely himself. Yeah. Joey is so uniquely an island unto himself that, and then the other thing is Holtzman, I became so obsessed with Holtzman. I filmed Holtzman so many times.
Oh, wow.
I really filmed Holtzman so many times.
That's great.
That I just said, one episode I end the last, I think, 15 minutes is all about Holtzman because I just
Well, he is the Comedy Store.
Yes.
Yeah, he represents the Comedy Store. His name is Brian Holtzman, you guys.
Brian Holtzman.
So he's a guy that's been grinding late at night at the store, and he hasn't hit.
I love everything about him. Yeah. I love everything about him exactly for what you said. And Annie Letterman. Annie Letterman, she's insane to me. As a person, she just scares me. I can't even be in the same block as her. But as a person, she just so... I love what she does as a comedian. Yeah. She's such a strong comic. Yeah. She could be a great comic in any time period. And that's, to me, what I've learned. The great comics can be comics. You could take them out of any era they're in and put them in any era and they'd still be big. Louis Anderson would have been big in the 50s and the 60s, the 70s, 80s, 90s, or right now.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. You take Louis Anderson anywhere and he's still going to make it huge.
Yeah.
Annie Letterman, she's going to make it big in any era she's in because she's just a frickin' comic, and she is a store comic.
Yeah.
She's just got that. Mitzi would have loved Annie Letterman. Don't you think?
Yeah, for sure.
And Brian Holtzman, he just has this thing about him. And the thing that I tried to do with Brian was first set up what the late night energy was, to show how Jim Carrey and Sam Kinison and Robin Williams and Paul Mooney would just go up there, and what it felt like to sit there late at night. And late at night you just would watch, and you would just go there and wait for insanity, something's crazy to happen. And to set that up and then go, okay, well, who's doing that now? And then...
And you had Ingram on there too.
Yeah.
Rick Ingram's another guy that hasn't really popped yet, but everyone's sitting around going, you know.
Well, Rick's a little different because he's such a great crowd. He works the crowd so great.
But I'm just saying he deals with that late night thing,
And Don Barris.
Yeah.
And Don Barris. And Brody was great late night.
So how does it feel now that you've winded down? And are you going to have like a documentary Comedy Store withdrawals? Or are you like going to be able to really let this go?
No, I'll let it go. you know, I mean, I'm working on I'm going to do one on Albert Brooks. That I'm excited about that.
Yeah. And then as far as the process of making a documentary, can compare it for the viewers on the difference between how hard a documentary is versus how hard a movie is, because you've been directing and producing movies for probably 25 years. Yeah. So what's the difference? Because this is your first documentary.
Yeah.
So can you tell us the difference?
It's harder. It's harder because with a movie, you know exactly what you're going for. You go in with such a specific script, you know, and you go in there, you know, you're going to improvise a little and you're going to find beautiful moments on the set. But with a documentary, you know, you
didn't know, like, when you started where this fucking was going to go.
I did. I had ideas. I had ideas. You know, I really had ideas, and
with the cartoons and the animation.
Yeah, and the fish that we put, the fish we had floating down the halls. You remember that? You know, and but I had a sense of where it wanted to go. You know, but look at. There were areas, you know, there were times that people that I didn't think I was going to get for a while, people that I did get, but I knew that I wanted it to be a mix of truth, laughter, drama, loss, and what I wanted it to be, and this is what I think I'm the happiest that people are feeling, I wanted it to feel that there was love, that it came from a place of love, that it wasn't made by someone bitter, it wasn't made about bitter people, it wasn't made, you know, about cynicism. You know, people think the Comedy Store is like this kind of, you know, hard, harsh place, which it might be, but it's a very loving place. And I wanted it to come in. There was so much stuff that I could have put in there that would have come off taking shots at people or making people look bad or silly.
Is there stuff in there that you loved and that, like, in the old days would be on the DVD extras? Like chunks and pieces? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah.
That didn't make it?
Yeah.
And like for instance, like we did a scene where we went to my mom's grave.
Yep.
And then we did a scene where I bring my mom into the store because
I loved it. I loved it. And that would have been in a DVD extra.
Yeah, because 3 days before my mom died, you know, we brought her to the store because I wanted her to feel, you know, her room, you know, and with the music. Me and Juan Carlos were there with Alfred, and you know, I just thought it was important.
And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I didn't put that in. You know, it became almost like every episode was a Game of Thrones where someone you loved died. And it was just too much of it. And the last episode, I just didn't want, and the memorial's in there, and we're on stage, you know, but I didn't want to stop it with melancholy. I didn't.
So how does episode 5 end?
It ends with it ends really sweet and funny, but it doesn't end sad. There's no.
What's it about? Episode 5.
The future of the Comedy Store and what day-to-day life at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to do another passing. You know. It took Mitzi's death as just a part of life that we were all living with now. you know, because in this very similar way that we did with Pryor, you know, I just couldn't stop everything. And I wanted to keep the energy up, you know? But would I put it on a CD, DVD? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And there were other things. But I was talking about more, you know, when you spend 2.5 years interviewing people, you get a lot of stories that maybe paint people in a weird light, that even though someone's not trying to do that, they do, or like just crazy stories, or people tell things about someone that maybe later they wish they didn't, or jokes, or you know. But I wanted, you know, I wanted everyone to look good. I really did. The only one that I wanted to look kind of stupid was me. You know, there's some areas in there that even at the end, Eleanor Kerrigan says, "So what was it like interviewing everybody?" And I tell her that I've never been a professional interviewer, and I show some of the dumb things I've said over 2 years.
Maybe you could do a Mike Binder blooper reel. No, I'm sure there's probably stuff in there that you cut out.
It wasn't I show some interviews that I kind of ask dumb questions, you know?
But
you know what I'm saying? So that to me is, because that's my feeling about the store, is that there's a lot of really goodwill at the store. Even there's been tough times, the strike, and
right now,
now it's tough times.
Yeah.
But you know, and people get mad at people at the store, and you know, there's always the big dog that can go around and everyone's got to follow and sit and do what that person wants to do in every era. And there's always kind of a big kind of feud every era. It's just it's kind of a repeat history. But at the end of the day, people at the store are very supportive of each other, you know, and.
But basically, the doc, you know, for the people that haven't seen it, I know that you're going to want to see it. Takes place in the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s, and then now, pretty much. And it's a history of comedy. It's a history of the store, and it's a deep history of you know, the drama, the happiness, and all that stuff. So so thank you for coming back to the store to revisit it, and now you can move on and be like, pat yourself and be like, I did that stuff. So so you started off as a stand-up comic. You came from Detroit.
Yes.
You were 19 years old.
18
years old. You came out to the store, and you saw my mom.
Yeah.
You know,
I was very lucky.
Yeah.
I was very, you know, and I didn't realize it for a lot of years, Paul.
Yeah.
I was very, very lucky. I did not realize it. I drove out here. I want to say on like a Wednesday. That Monday I went up.
What year was this? 1976?
77.
1977.
You know?
Wow.
And I went up on a Monday night, and
you were 19.
18. Okay, I had just gotten out of high school.
Wow.
Okay, and I went up. I drove all the way out here 5 days or 3 days, whatever.
By yourself?
No, I took with a friend of mine from high school.
Okay. Dave Coulier?
No, not Dave Coulier.
Yeah.
I met him later. And I went up the first Monday I was here.
Wow.
And when I first got out here, I drove out here, drove straight to the Comedy Store on Sunset Boulevard, and it was closed, shut down. Okay? And there was an old guy walking over from the Hyatt House, and I recognized him. He was an old comedian named Leonard Barr. He was in The Sting. He was Dean Martin's uncle. I put this all together later, but I recognized him as the old man played an old comic in The Sting, which was a big in the theaters that year.
Yeah.
And I went I said, "Isn't that where the Comedy Store is?" Because I had the address and everything, and I come out here. I told my parents I already had a job there and everything. And he went, "It's closed." I go, "Well," he was a grouchy old man.
Wow.
And I go, "Where do young comedians go?" He goes, "They go home." I go, "No, really, I'm serious. Where's what happened to the Comedy Store? He goes, it's closed. And he turned and he walked away.
Wow.
I found out later that it was Leonard Barr, and he ate at the Hyatt House every day. He died a few years later. He was an old-time vaudeville comic.
Why did he say it was closed?
It was closed.
It was just
it was when Mitzi, when Art LeBeau kicked Mitzi out, and she opened Westwood for that time.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't know about Westwood.
Yeah.
He didn't tell me about Westwood.
You know what one story you didn't tell in your, I mean, there's probably a lot of stories you didn't tell, but you didn't talk about the pickle barrel. Yo, even with this pandemic stuff that's going on in the world, I think we're doing what?
We're getting quality sleep with
Yeah.
Helix Sleep.
Yeah, I'm telling you guys. So here's the deal. Take the Helix Sleep. It has a quiz that takes just 2 minutes to complete, matches your body type, your sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you. So just tell them, right?
Everybody's unique, and Helix knows that, so that they have several different mattresses models to choose from.
Yeah, they have the soft medium. Okay, they got firm mattresses for great cooling down. You sleep hot. And Helix even has mattresses for what? Bigger people.
Yeah, plus size
Yeah,
folks.
plus size folks, okay? So here's the deal. Tell them. I mean, it's right there.
Well, I took the Helix quiz. I was matched with the Helix Moonlight mattress because I wanted something that felt soft, and I sleep on my back and move around all night.
Yes, and I love it, you guys. It's a huge upgrade for what I used to have. Delivery and setting up was fast and easy. It's soft, but still it's very supportive. And I'm falling asleep great right now. It's great.
Of course. So, if you're looking for a mattress, you take the quiz, you order the mattress that you're matched to, the mattress comes right to your door, shipped for free.
Yeah, you don't have to do anything. You never need to go to a mattress store again, because going to mattress stores is not cool,
Dudes.
Helix is awesome, but you don't have to take it from me. Helix actually was awarded #1 best overall mattress pick of 2020 by GQ and Wired Magazine. Just go to helix.com/rants, take their 2-minute sleep quiz, and you will match to your customized mattress that will give you the best sleep of your life. Okay, tell them.
They have a 10-year warranty. You get to try it out for 100 nights risk-free. They'll even pick it up for you if you don't love it, but you will.
Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners at helixsleep.com/rants. You didn't know about the pickle barrel? Did you forget about it? Do you kind of remember it?
No.
Across the street from the Comedy Store, you know where there's that tarot card place?
The French guy that would sell clothes?
No, that's down the street.
Yeah.
No, literally across the street from the Comedy Store where the House of Blues was, and now it's a big hotel.
Yeah.
There was a place there. It was called the Pickle Barrel, and Mom owned it.
That was later. That was
No. This was at the beginning. This was way at the beginning. This was before she did Tie Us.
No.
Remember Tie Us?
But still, the Pickle Barrel was still 4 or 5 years later.
After? So do you remember the Pickle Barrel?
Yeah, but she didn't own that till later.
Oh, why didn't you talk about the Pickle Barrel?
Well, because let me finish this story.
Okay.
So then I go and I rent a hotel at Western in Santa Monica because it's only $7 a night, and I go through the phone book, right? My friend leaves. He goes home. He leaves, goes back to Detroit. He goes to a phone booth. He spends an hour on the phone with his girlfriend. He gets back together with her. And he takes his car and he goes back. He goes, don't be mad at me, but I'm going home.
Wow.
He drives all the way home. He leaves me alone. Okay? So, but I look at the thing and it says Comedy Store Westwood. So I call and they answer the phone, and it's Debbie Gambino. It turns out to be someone I became really good friends with. And she says, I go, is this the Comedy Store? She goes, yeah. I go, you're not closed? She goes, no, we're in Westwood. And I hear a crowd in the background. I go, oh, what's night's amateur night? She goes, Monday night, baby, come then. And she hangs up the phone.
Wow.
So I go that Monday night, and again, it's 4 nights later, 3-4 nights later, I've been in L.A.
Wow.
And I go in that Monday night, and I kill.
Wow.
And I've never killed. Never killed. I've been on stage a bunch of times in Ann Arbor, but I've never killed like this.
A day at Disneyland. Right?
I didn't even have that then,
Okay.
But anyway, Mitzi's there. Argus comes up to me afterwards, says, come meet Mitzi, Mike. Come here, meet Mitzi. And she just said, you're really funny. I had ripped my pants.
Yeah.
And she goes, I don't like that. Don't do that anymore. She thought it was like I ripped my pants because I was late. I couldn't find a parking spot. And I jumped over the brick wall.
Yeah.
And she said, don't do that anymore. That's not funny. She thought it was like going to be my gimmick.
Wow.
And, but she said, where are you from? I go, Detroit. She goes, I'm from Wisconsin.
Right.
Like thinking that, oh, wow, you're like, well, you're a state
place.
over.
Yeah, we're close.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
And then, but she just liked me. It was so bizarre, Pauly.
Yeah.
I was like 18.
Yeah.
And she just liked me. She just stared at me. She goes, oh, that's so nice.
I remember. You see photos of you guys.
Yeah.
And she's like enamored with you. You guys were very close.
She just liked me.
Yeah.
I got so lucky that she liked me, because you don't think about it at the time. You just go, okay, this lady likes me.
Right.
You don't think about it. And
she made you a paid regular right then?
Right then.
Wow.
Right then. That week, I was on the schedule.
Wow. And who were some of the comics that you were on the schedule with?
Everybody. Thomerson, Letterman, everybody.
Wow.
I mean, I didn't get like the great spots, but like 9.
But you started hitting. Like you got,
I went on after Argus a lot.
Yeah, you got Make Me Laugh. I remember that. You
Make
got
Me Laugh, Merv Griffin.
I think you had the most ever wins for Make Me Laugh.
Yeah, I did.
Tell the kids and the people.
But they don't know what Make Me Laugh is.
I know, but that's what I was saying. Tell them what fucking Make Me Laugh was.
There was a game show we were all on called Make Me Laugh.
It was great. Mule Deer.
And we would go one day and we would shoot a whole week's worth of shows in one day, and I did so many of them. And I was at that time I was 19.
Crazy.
And they would pay you like $1,800.
Wow.
And it was so much money at the time.
Yeah.
And then I got a contract from Norman Lear.
Yeah.
Remember Apple Pie?
Yes.
And I just, things were just happening for me. Merv Griffin and Mike Douglas and eventually the Tonight Show and all this stuff, man. It just was like, wow,
Yeah.
And a lot of it was because she would just put me up on showcases. Thursday night, that was the night.
Yeah.
She would have showcase nights. And I remember, it was so funny. We would have showcase nights, and there was this one guy, I don't know if I should say his name, but he was like just an okay comic, and he would always call in and say, tell Mitzi that I have an agent coming in to see me.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So I need to be on this showcase for him on Thursday night.
Yeah.
And then finally she found out that this guy was always bringing an insurance agent in to see him.
That's hilarious.
She said, tell him we don't showcase for insurance agents.
That's hilarious. So I was little back then.
Oh yeah, you were little. But let me just say, I just want to finish this because I didn't realize that cut off 7 or 8 years of struggling in show business for me, for all of us.
Yeah, cut out 7 or 8 years.
Yeah. And when you bring Letterman back, when people go, well, why do you think Letterman comes back to do the documentary? Why does he come back to do the 15th anniversary show, the 11th anniversary show? Why do you think Jim Carrey has this affection for this place? Why does Whoopi do this thing? The reason is because Mitzi picked us out of the crowd. There was a crowd even back then, and she went, you, and cut. You were her son, so it's you know what I'm saying. But the fact that she pulled us out of the crowd, it's like, and all of the people at the store and pulled us into your family. It was like you didn't realize it at the time, even though you did. It got pulled out of a storm. It's like, okay, there's so many people that are out just waiting on tables or working at car washes or just wandering the streets, just going, I don't know how I'm going to get to this spot that I want to get to. And she just went, this is how you're going to do it.
And you were very close with my mom then.
Yeah, very close.
Yeah.
What
was that like?
Oh, I was very close. She was great to me.
Yeah.
She was great to me until she wasn't, you know? And then there was a time when it was, and I look back on it, and I always thought it was always her fault. And it wasn't. It was my fault, too. But Mitzi it was like, she went through a period, just to be totally honest, Mitzi changed completely. When I met Mitzi, and when I was really close to Mitzi, she was just this Jewish lady with a family who was almost like an aunt figure or a mother figure to me. And then she kind of, you know, when Steve Landersberg broke up with her, I think that was really hard on her. And then she was kind of like someone that would party with us, which was weird for me, you know? And then when I started to have some success, at first, she would always want to produce things. She was always making these specials at the store.
Yeah.
And I'm just being really honest with you. She would make these specials at the store, and we would all always be in them. And they were always bad.
Yeah.
They were just bad.
Yeah.
And you knew they were bad.
Yeah.
And she would put her own money into them. And it was like HBO, we would all do these HBO specials at the store that Marty Kollner and all these people would come and shoot at the store. And I don't know, she had some kind of deal, but with HBO, and I don't know, I don't remember if she like had producer credits on those specials. I'm sure she did, but she had this deep, deep desire to be a producer, and it wasn't enough for her just to own the greatest comedy club in the world and have one in
all over. Yeah.
And so she would make these specials, and anything she ever asked me to do, I said yes. And the more success I had, it was like, it almost seemed like she was mad at me. And I got this, you remember, I got this HBO special, and
with all your friends in Detroit, right?
I shot it in Detroit, where I'm from, and
I want to produce it.
Well, yeah, you know, here's the thing. George Carlin's company produced it. And George Carlin was my hero, idol growing up. And she was really mad at me. She was like, I should produce that. What are you doing? And I was really mad at her for being mad at me about it. But the truth is, Paul, and I didn't understand this until I did this.
The doc.
I could have easily said to George Carlin, I got to give Mitzi Shore a producer credit too. Easy. Now I understand the business well enough now. Producer credits are easy. They don't cost anything. She cut off 7 years of toil in my life. She protected me. There was a need and earning. I can't tell. I don't know why she had it. I could have scratched that little itch for her. It wouldn't have helped her in any way. It was dumb that she had it, but I could have done it. You know? But I was 29 years old. I wasn't sophisticated enough to understand. And all I could see was, what's she being so selfish for? And it was a mistake. It was a mistake. And I really was mad at her for being mad at me and not being happy. You know? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. No, it's interesting. You know, sometimes you have to look back in your past and figure out why you got where you got, and then just give a credit just because it makes them feel good, and it's not a big deal.
It wouldn't have costed me anything.
It wouldn't have been a big deal.
You know what George Carlin would have said? Fucking right, give her credit.
Right.
Absolutely, George would have.
Well, that happens though when you're young. It happened to me. It's happened to, you know, when you're young, you don't know. You know what I mean? The little.
And she
things
lashed
like that.
out at me.
Yeah.
She lashed out. She took my thing off the wall. She took my pictures off the wall. My neon. My everything. She took everything. And she told Harris to call the police if I wouldn't leave. And the one thing that I will say, I tell people this story. a few months later, she called me up. And she I don't know if she like went, I'm sorry. She went, are you coming in to work out? And Mitzi never did that to anybody.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was Mitzi's way of going, are we forgetting this or not? You know? She knew she was wrong, and she apologized. I always took that as an apology. So I was back after that. It's not like I had this long riff with her over that. It just was never like, and the other thing that I always felt like, and this was my problem, I always felt I should have been bulletproof because I crossed the picket line. Do you know what I mean? I always felt like, hey,
so the picket line for the people, the viewers, tell them what the strike.
Well, there was a strike 4 years before that.
Yeah. Where the comedians striked against my mom because they wanted to be paid.
And what happened was, and it was a very interesting thing, and I was 19 and maybe 20 at the time, and in a weird coincidence, which it's just so odd, in the exact time the strike started, I got my first acting job on a CBS movie called Can You Hear the Laughter? The Freddie Prinze Story. And I was playing Freddie Prinze's best friend, Alan Bursky.
Oh, wow.
And the exact 2 weeks that we were shooting at the Comedy Store was the first 2 weeks of the strike.
Wow.
So I was shooting there every day during the day. And all the original strike meetings, they said, hey, Mike Binder has a problem. He has to be there during the day. And they all, in their defense, everyone, Tom Dreesen, Elaine Booz, everyone said, we're not holding that again. We're not doing that. He can go there and shoot during the day. So they were striking I'd be shooting all day during the day, and as I'd leave, they'd be striking. But I didn't work at night. But Mitzi would be coming to me during the day, and Argus would be coming to me, you got to cross the picket line. You got to do this, And, one night she got to me, and it was so hard on her. And I did. I crossed the picket line. I didn't think it was fair. It started to feel to me that it wasn't about what it was really about. Because Mitzi had already kind of said, okay, I'll pay some money and I'll split the main room. And they didn't want that. I felt like it became, let's just burn this fucker down. And it was too many people that weren't getting spots. I felt like there was a core group of people that really were going for something noble, like Tom and Elaine and Leno, but there were a lot of people who were just people that never got spots, that they were never going to accept whatever she did. Yeah. And I honestly, I thought I came to realize it was a mistake, because I really feel like Tom's right. If we had all been a little stronger, Mitzi would have come to her senses quicker, because Mitzi did come to that, But the point is, I arrogantly, 4 years later, always felt that I should have been bulletproof to Mitzi, because everybody hated me because I crossed the picket line, you know? And that also led me to be like, how dare she give me a hard time for doing this special, right?
So what do you think she would have thinks of your documentary right now?
She would love it.
Yeah.
She would love it. As I was making it, I really fell back in love with her. I really did. I really fell back in love with Mitzi when I was making it, and I made it for her.
That's what I was saying. Did you feel some sort of obligation?
Yes. As I was making it, all my original first 3 years, 4 years, and all my gratitude for what she did for me originally as a young kid, how she took care of me, it all came back, and that love for her and love for your family, it all came back, and I really, obviously I didn't do this for the money. This thing.
If she was listening right now, what would you tell her?
I'd tell her that you have not cleaned your room.
No, what would you tell her? about, you know, if
no,
she's...
I
if
wouldn't.
she's-
I wouldn't. I don't. You know, I don't talk to the dead, Pauly. I got my feet pretty firm on the ground.
Yeah.
But I just think that Mitzi would like this. You know, Mitzi. I think, but I did do this thinking.
My suggestion for you as a friend, no,
Yeah.
for real, is to visit her gravesite.
I have, and I went
by
with you.
yourself after this is over, and just come from the place of what you just said, because I think it would be, if there is a person that, if people can really hear and there's a spirit out there, I think it's like a final, you know, you went to war, dude. Like, this doc was like, it's a big deal, you know, not just for your time, but just the emotion going back and talking all the comics and, you know, and rehashing everything. It's like,
Look,
it's a lot
one thing also is, the other interesting thing is, I've realized that I really love comics. I love comics. You know, they're difficult, they're hard, but I think I really do, man. I really I love the art form. I love the people that do it. I you know, I mean, God, I remember. I just, you know, I mean, Whitney Cummings. You know, I remember one night I was watching her in the OR, and she was working so hard, you know, and I remember just coming off and talking to her afterwards. I thought, God, I fucking love this woman, you know, and not in like a, I just love the way she comes at it. She reminded me of a young George Carlin, you know, and when I first met Carlin, you know, and I remember once I was interviewing Richard Lewis, and he was there one day, and I was kidding around with him, and I thought, God, you know, I haven't felt this way about people, a group of people, and Damon Wayans, the day we started with Damon, and Damon and I, we made a movie together, and we've been friends for years, you know, but we just started laughing, you know, and I really love comedians, you know, and we're lucky to be a part of our own minority, you know. It's like, you know, I was talking to someone, you know, and he brought up about this, about, God, there was a comedian, he passed away years ago. He was in Ghost. I'm blanking on his name now.
Not Patrick Swayze.
No, a comedian that was in Ghost, but he was a guy we all knew.
Richard Jenny?
No. A black guy, but he was just this guy we all knew, and he started talking about it, and I just got all welled up thinking about this guy, about what a great guy he was. And we were talking about him, and it's like, God damn, I miss that guy, you know? And I just feel like I've just been so lucky to be in this subset, you know? And like, even Richard Jenny, you know? Richard Jenny was a great guy, you know? He was a sad guy, you know, but he was a great guy. And I remember talking to him, having talks with, I remember going on long walks with him, you know, and you know, I mean, you know, one of the things this documentary got me back with Stephen Wright, who used to be a good friend of mine, you know, and he and I, God, after the shoot, we went on this walk and we just laughed our asses off, you know, and
he's funny.
And that's what
He's
we
great
used to do.
Yeah, he's great in the doc. Yeah.
But Stephen and I,
where does he live now?
He lives back east, back in Massachusetts on some island.
Wow.
But Stephen and I and Howie, your mom sent us out on this Budweiser Comedy Store tour. She got us this great gig, and we laughed so hard the entire time, the entire summer. We just laughed, you know, and every time I'm ever with Stephen, all I do is laugh. We just laugh so hard. That guy makes me, and Howie, you know, I mean.
And then so. It's a lot of stuff. It's so you went away from the store for a while, and you had this whole career. I mean, I remember seeing you in London, England.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, bumping into you. That was like in the mid '90s. I mean, you were up Woody Allen's asshole.
No.
Meaning you were like a director. You're like this guy that's right directing, and you directed a lot of movies. Can you tell some of the movies so people can?
The Upside of Anger.
Yeah, and that's with
Kevin Costner and Joan Allen, and Kerry Russell, and
Rain on Me?
No. Well, I was going to say the rest of the cast, but Adam Sandler and Don Cheadle. And
that movie was about 9/11, right?
Well,
or in that era, that time. It was based off of, right?
Yeah.
A character from that.
Yeah.
How was that?
How was it?
Yeah, was it to work with Adam and Don and that whole thing in New York, you know?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Robert Klein was in that. That was fun. And, yeah.
Some of the other movies?
No.
Blank Man.
Blank Man with Damon was great.
Yeah,
that was a great movie. It was a fun movie. And I did that. I did a movie with Ben Affleck that was a lot of fun. It was kind of stillborn in its release. It was called Man About Town.
Yeah. And your first movie, I remember you didn't direct it, but I think you produced and wrote it, was Coupe de Ville.
Coupe de Ville.
You were very excited about it.
Yeah, that was fun.
This is right after I went with you to get your first car.
Yeah.
You had what was it, a silver Nissan?
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah.
I remember that. We went and I paid for it cash. Remember that?
Yeah.
I wrote him a check for that, and I paid I think it was like $1,700 or something.
But it was brand new.
It was brand new, yeah.
So you did Coupe de Ville.
And then I did a movie for Touchstone called Crossing the Bridge, which was an autobiographical piece about growing up in Detroit with Josh Charles and Stephen Baldwin and David Schwimmer. It was all these guys' first movie.
Wow.
And Jason Gedrick. And
what about Coupe de Ville? I remember Coupe de Ville because didn't your parents have a Coupe de Ville?
Yeah, that was based on a true story, my family's story. Then I did a movie called Indian Summer, set at my summer camp. You know, I mean, everything except for Blank Man, really, everything I've done in my life has been about part of my life, a big part of my life. What
you know about, right?
And even the Comedy Store doc, you know, I've always been better when I've just leaned into my life, you know. But this Indian Summer, I went to this summer camp with Sam Raimi. Sam Raimi and I grew up together in this camp, and he was in it. He was one of the actors in the movie, you know, and Kevin Pollak and Diane Lane and Elizabeth Perkins and Alan Arkin, and we made it for Touchstone.
So how many years was this window? Because I'm trying to do the time frame.
There was a lot of years when I made a movie
every
year.
Boom, boom,
I made
boom.
one movie a year every year for a while.
Wow.
And
it was like a 20-year run.
About
25,
15, 16 years, I guess.
Right.
You know.
And then when I saw you in London, when I went to go visit Stephen,
I was doing a movie with Colin Firth and Mariel Hemingway and Stephen Fry. It was called Londinium. And that was fun.
And then as far as the process, do you like the editing, the graphics, the sound, the you know, the writing, the the producing, the directing? Do you like it all? Which one do you like worse, more? Because you have to do everything as a director.
I like as far as movie making, as far as movies go, I like it because it's four seasons and things. Just when you get tired of being on a set shooting, you're in an editing room for months and months alone, and then you're on a mixing stage and or a music stage.
What's your favorite process? Is there a particular process?
I like the editing and the
like the post,
the scoring,
the post production,
the post production. A lot.
How is the editing?
And one thing I like about documentary, I find that you can really manipulate it, and if you need to go back and grab something or change something or fix. But I like post-production. Shooting a movie is really tough because you've got like 150 crew members, and you got to get it right.
You got to get it right.
You know, unless you're Woody Allen, where you can go back and reshoot half the movie. You know, but I like it all. I really like it all. I'm really ready to go back and make another movie. You know, but I really I like it all. I'm just, I am so grateful. If you think about it, like I say, I got out here on a Wednesday. Monday, I met your mom. I've really been working since then. I'm 62.
Yeah.
I've been working. I've had a few tough years, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, I've had ups and downs, but I've never done another job other than working as a doorman at the Comedy Store.
And you have a brother, right?
I do have a brother.
Yeah, and you have a son.
Jack.
Yeah.
I have a brother. I have a son. I have 3 brothers, by the way.
Tell me, but I always see Jack though.
Jack works in this business, and Jack's produced a lot of my movies.
Yeah, and then what about your son? What's
my
his
son works with me, Bert.
Yeah, what's he want to do? What's his
he's
vision
in this
for himself?
business. He's an actor and a writer, and he's going to direct. He's making his own movie that he wrote, and he co-produced this movie, this documentary, The Comedy Store.
Yeah.
He's written an amazing movie.
This is your son?
Yeah.
And how old is he?
He's 25.
25.
He wrote...
What did he think about the whole experience?
He loved
he
it.
must have fucking freaked out.
He loved it.
Because he's your son, and then you're going back, and he wasn't around when you were at the store.
Yeah. He didn't... I don't think he knew anything about me. Honestly.
Wow.
I don't think... a lot of it, I don't think he knew. You know,
Wow.
And then we would kind of pull up these old things of me on talk shows and stuff, and I think a lot of it was like, really?
Wow.
You know, and I just don't think he knew.
And then you have a daughter.
I have a daughter.
Yeah. And what's her vision and passion for herself?
She's a writer.
Oh, wow.
She's a writer. Right now she's working with my wife, and they have a wedding dress boutique.
You think I'm going to get married? You can get me a deal on a dress?
I do.
Yeah.
I just don't think you'd fit into it.
Fit into a dress,
but no. But yes, I know I could.
So you're very close with your family.
I do.
You're sober. You've been sober for how long?
36 years.
What were you doing? Don't say
everything.
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 Really?
You know that.
I never saw you do it.
Yes, you did. Pauly.
When would I have seen you do it?
Pauly, I did it in front of you.
Really?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. What were you just doing? Coke with Argus?
No, I didn't do that much coke. I did a lot of pot and a lot of smoked coke. I smoked coke and I drank a lot.
Interesting.
But I got sober young. Your mom was a big part of me getting sober.
Yeah.
You know that, right?
Yeah.
Marty Klein and your mom.
Wow.
You know Marty.
Yeah, I remember he was at APA.
Yeah, he was my agent.
Yeah.
He dropped me.
Marty on the phone.
He dropped me.
Because you were getting fucked up.
Yep.
Wow.
He called me up.
And you still go to meetings? All the time?
Almost every day.
Wow. What's that like?
I love it. It's the biggest part of my life.
Wow. Not me not doing this podcast. It's not the biggest part.
Well, it was until I started doing it.
Right.
But it's a big part of my life. I love, you know, your mom. I got sober before Argus. I was one of the first guys there to get into AA. Jesse Aragon got me into AA.
I remember him.
And your mom told me, you need to get your shit together. I'm dead serious. And she told Marty not to take any crap from me.
Yeah.
And Marty dropped me.
Yeah.
He said, I never drop anybody as a client. I wait for them to drop me, but I'm dropping you.
Why did he drop you? Because you're fucked up?
He said, you're too talented. You know. And he said,
because you're fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got into AA and I got sober. I was sober by the time I was 25.
How does Argus say sober? Sober?
Sober. 7,968,000 days, Mike.
And then you were estranged from my mom for a while, and then your show, was it Mind of the Married Man, came on.
And that's one of my favorite Pauly stories.
Yeah. Right.
You called me up. And I wasn't estranged from your mom at that point. We just weren't talking a lot. But we just weren't close. You know, the grass had grown over the road.
Yeah.
You know?
So it's 2002.
2002. The show was airing every Sunday night, and you called me up and you go, you know, Mike, my mom's not doing great, and she watches your show, but she's lonely. Would you ever come over on Sunday night and just be with her, hang with us? And I thought, God, that's such a nice thing for a son to do. You know, and I spent that Sunday night with you and her up there. Remember that?
Yeah,
I mean, I know you remember it, but I just, and I know you were having other people do it too. You were making sure that she was kept full. Her people, that couch was full.
Yeah,
and I
it
thought
was important to me.
Yeah, I know it was. I could tell.
Yeah.
I could tell. And you, Mom, guess who's here? Kid Comedy.
Yeah.
And we had a fun night.
Yeah.
We had a fun night telling stories, and we watched the show. She goes, Mom, look at you, Mike.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at her. That's your wife.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's hard for me to talk to her as you guys talk to her because she was my mom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, she's my mom.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I know.
So that's why, you know, on all the people that I called to tell her to come to visit her were people that, you know, I know my mom would like. You know, so I did that all the way up until she died, you know.
It was really funny, too, because she was so touchy. She was just the same way she always was. Mike, look at you. Yeah. She was just so Mitzi, like, instantly.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys all came to visit her, and I had Gary Shanley come visit her. You know, I had Arsenio come visit her. You know, Eddie Griffin, I think, even came, and I don't know, you know, Jim. You know, everyone, you know, wanted to pay their respects. So finally, and then she passed, I had called you to come to the funeral, right?
Yeah, I did go to the funeral, yeah. But you also called me, I don't know if you know this, remember, you called me to come see her like 2 days before she died, and I couldn't. I said, Pauly, it's a thing I can't do. Even my dad, I couldn't do. You know?
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah,
you know, but I was so, because the time I saw her last was perfect for me. You know, and I was so happy that you asked me to go over to the house that the day before.
Yeah,
but I would never had that. I would have had that in my head forever. Like when I got to my dad's funeral, they had the casket open, and I didn't. I said, I'm not going until they close it. I don't want to see it. You know, and I was so close to my dad.
Yeah,
you know, but that night on the couch is the night I remember with Mitzi, you know. And you'll see, when you see the way I end the doc is these series of pictures of her, just right as you go out, and then there's this one of her. It's with you. There's a series of pictures, and then there's just one of you and her, you, Peter, and you, and her, and then one of just her. And that one of her is how I remember her. That's my like version of her alone. Just to me, like in this club in the dark, watching.
Yeah,
you know?
That was her favorite place.
Yeah, just watching comedy. And that to me is how I end the doc. And how I think I always will remember her. And how
and that's how you wanted people to remember her too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Doing what she loved to do. Like intently watching a comedian. You know?
And so what's next for you?
No, I'm getting ready to do another movie, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do
a scripted film.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to do another documentary. And I'm just gonna keep working, you know. I'm gonna work till I drop. And I'm never gonna retire.
Do you like to take breaks?
Not a lot of them.
Yeah.
I like to work, and I like to be part of AA, and I love my life.
And Diane and your kids are okay with you doing it this much, working this much?
Yeah, they don't know anything different. I mean, I don't have a lot of hobbies.
Yeah, a cigar with Bill Burr.
Yeah, I smoke stogies with Bill Burr, and I hang out with, all my friends are comedians, you know, and or guys in AA, you know, and I'm really close with my wife. I got very lucky, you know, I got very lucky, and.
Well, once again, thank you for...
And I just want to, and I tell you, I love you. You know,
I love you too.
And, I think I love you, and I love your two brothers. You know, you guys are the Shore brothers. I've known you guys my whole adult life, you know, and you guys have had a really tough year, 2 years, you know, but, and I think the comedians owe you guys a debt too, you know, and, I also know the store's going through a rough time, but I really, I just want to say thank you and I'm just really, I feel really grateful that I was the one that got to tell that story.
Yeah, no, it's, I've watched a lot of the episodes, haven't seen them all, most of them.
Nobody's seen the last one.
Yeah, I know. So, yeah, no, I'm glad you were there, and it felt good that you directed it, and it felt good that you were physically in it too. I thought that was an interesting, different way to go with it. But I guess that just happened organically.
It really did. Peter's still giving me a hard time about it. He calls it the Mike Binder biopic.
Oh, well.
He likes to tease me.
Yeah.
He was just teasing me. He goes, am I ever going to see the 5th episode? I said, it's been hard. It's been so hard.
What has?
Finishing this thing.
The 5th episode.
But I'm telling you, last night at about 9:30, I came home just dead. And that's how hard this, I forget who.
Because they wanted to just do 4.
Yeah.
You said originally they just wanted to do 4.
Yeah. But someone told me that a movie's never finished, it's just pulled out of a director's hands. Yeah. Last night it was pulled out of my hands.
All right.
But.
All right, brother. Love you, dude.
Love you, bro.
Yeah. It's good. Thanks for having Mike. Can we follow you on social media and Twitter and all that?
I don't have any social media. I don't have any.
It's out.
I'm done.
Well, he'll be around somewhere, you guys. Thanks for sitting in, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me. I love all your social media stuff.
Thank you, buddy. Later.